How does the ATS work when you send your resume in? Welcome to Conversations About Mining. Today we've got Jess here from Beyond WA Resumes and Recruitment, and she's going to answer some of these questions for us. Hi, Jess. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great, Andrew. How are you going?
Yeah, pretty good with everything that's going on in the world. So, how does the ATS work?
So, a basic rundown of an ATS. So, usually they work as what an ATS is, an applicant tracking system. If you're not sure what that is, I say ATS systems a lot of the time, which actually makes no sense, but it's just force
That's
of
what I was
habit.
trying not to say. I was trying not to say
Yep.
system.
Yep. But basically how it works is it's a filtration system. So when you apply for a job, whether it's on Seek, whether it's on, say, a mining company's direct website, an engineering website, labour hire, recruitment company, whoever you apply for, your resume gets filtered through that ATS system. So what happens is when we set up a job to advertise, within our ATS system, post our job within that. So we post our job, put down the criteria that we have for that job. So your location, your minimum requirements of what you need. So your qualifications, your white cards, your standard 11s, all of those basic things. And then we have usually another selection criteria of if it's a trade role, then you have to have a trade qualification, or you have to have all the other things that you have to have for that. So we basically go through and set this up like a job ad, but we have all of this other criteria in the background. Depending on what type of role it is, we can also screen for like what sex you are, or what race you are, and all of that type of thing, depending on whether they're Indigenous roles or whether they're female entry-level roles and things like that. So basically when your resume comes through, if it doesn't meet some of those criterias, it will automatically get filtered out, and we'll still see your application there, but 9 times out of 10 no one's going to look at it, because you usually go to the side of the pile that is meeting those minimum criteria. You also a lot of the time have to have at least one reference on your resume. That's another thing that a lot of people leave out because they don't like to have references on their resume, but that's also really important.
With the underground side of things, it's 2.
Yeah, I say 2 or 3, but if you don't have one, you'll get filtered out straight away. So if at the very most, muster up 1, but you definitely should have 2 or 3, simply because it makes our jobs easier, whether it's Andrew as the shift boss or me as the recruiter. If your resume comes over my desk and I have to hunt you down and call you an email and try and get references out of you and then wait for you to get them back to me and then try and contact them, you're in the too hard basket and you're off in this pile as well. So that's a basic rundown of how it works. It's a filtration system. It filters your resume through. If you're not meeting those minimum criteria and you're missing and you don't have the keywords that you need. So generally the keywords will be within the job ad. A lot of the time though, they're not. If it's a general ad, like a driller's offsider, a lot of them don't have much information at all. So you need to have some mining and safety terminology in there. That doesn't necessarily filter you out, but if you go through and you don't meet these and you get to there and you don't have that safety terminology or that mining terminology, you'll get filtered out as well. So there is a lot of moving parts behind it, but once you understand how it works, it can be really effective. And we have people all the time come in and say, I've been applying. I've applied for over 100 jobs. I haven't got one call back from anyone. And the minute that they have their resume sorted out, then they're like, oh my God, I've had callback after callback. I'm getting emails. I'm getting interviews. So It can be that if you are looking.
Yeah. I know we have the same thing with the work ready package that we do, because we put the unit scaling and the service crew work and the nipper and truck driving stuff and all that sort of stuff in there. We know that gets flagged and it gets put across to one side because that's what they're looking for. So
it is.
Yeah.
And really it is. It's just making your job easier as a recruiter. You may have 500 people apply for a role, and that ATS system will usually filter you down to under 100, and then you can go through, and as you're going through, you can keep filtering as you go through so that you get down to a smaller pile. But generally we get it down to about 20 And then that's when we're actually pulling people's profiles up and reading through your resume. So that's your goal, is to get your resume as compliant as you can, having all those keywords, all of that minimum criteria, even simple things like having your driver's license listed, having your location, not necessarily even your address, but just having your location, phone number, all of those types of things that we commonly see that people just don't have on their resume. They've done a really beautiful looking resume. And
It's
if
not
you
going to
looked
get
at it,
read.
no, it doesn't get read. So yeah, definitely a lot to think about there.
And from the pointy end of the stick, because I've been in a lot of rooms when the foremans have been reading the resumes, they've got to be short and sharp and just tell a short story. If it's going to go on and it's going to take more than 5 or 10 minutes to read for most foremans, if it's a jumbo operator, yes, they might do that. But if it's for a new starter, they just don't have the time. So you just want it to be a very short read as well.
And there is actually usually the other criteria you have is you usually have, it's not usually a word limit, it's usually a 3-page limit. So like Andrew said, if you've got a big long novel of 5, 6, 7 pages of all your work history back to 1985, you just, even if you've got awesome content in there, it's just not going to get through.
Yeah, I've had an experience with a foreman that printed out a whole heap of resumes that got sent to him, and some of the resumes were like 25 pages long, and he absolutely did not enjoy that one little bit. It was like, that's going away, that's going, that's gone. You send me some more.
Yeah, no, you definitely, there definitely is kind of a method to the madness of how you set your resume up and what needs to be in it. And that's really what it boils down to. If you can tick all of those boxes in that ATS system, which we have a fair idea, but depending on what job you're going for and what you need to do and what you need to hit, that's half your battle done. If you can get that and you've got the education behind you and you can do well in an interview and talk the talk, like it really shouldn't be too hard for you to get in there if that's what you're trying to do.
Thanks, Jess. And if you've got any more questions about getting into the mining industry, please send them through. And if you can like and subscribe the channel. Thanks.
Thanks.